CBS News is projecting that Senator Bernie Sanders has won the New Hampshire primary with a razor-thin lead over Pete Buttigieg. Plus, locally, we have complete special election coverage. We'll tell you what voters decided on two big levies in the Central and East Valley school districts.
One more dry day ahead of us before we see two wet and wintry weather systems pass through the inland Northwest.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan. The results are in for tonight's special election. Voters in several school districts were asked to approve levies to fund programs ranging from school security to new parking lots. Our political reporter Casey Decker is tracking the results tonight.
The biggest levy is this one right here, Prop 1 in Central Valley, and you can see right now it is just narrowly passing, just around a 100 vote margin. Now, this levy increases property tax rates in the district by $1. That's per $1,000 of property value. It's a big jump from the previous state cap of $1.50 to the new state cap of $2.50. Though still less than what voters approved before there was a state cap. That number was $3.23. The $12 million it raises will go to a few things. First, a new school resource officer. Then it'll also fund special ed, after-school activities, and classroom tech. But it's not passed yet. There are still 1,100 votes left to tally countywide. So if enough of those are pertaining to Central Valley and a large percentage are no's, then this levy could still fail. And that's something that hasn't happened in that district in at least the last decade. All right, on to East Valley. They actually have two levies on the ballot. Here's Prop 1. That one is passing at the moment. It's got a pretty comfortable lead, as you can see. Now, we don't know how many of the remaining ballots are for each district, but it's pretty much impossible that enough would be from East Valley to change this outcome. So it looks like this levy is approved. Now, this one pays also for more school security, and it helps fund counselors and nurses. The district has said without this money, the state only funds enough for barely one of each for the whole district. And it will add dollars to after-school activities and classroom tech. Now, Prop 2 in East Valley deals with infrastructure, and it's also passing with flying colors. Again, basically impossible for this outcome to change. Primarily, this one funds new parking lots in 4 elementary schools. It'll also help improve some HVAC systems. Now, the two East Valley levies are replacement levies. The old ones are expiring. And when you add all the school-related property taxes up, the total taxpayers in the district will dole out is staying the same. So things are looking good for the East Valley School District. But again, look at these numbers in the much bigger Central Valley. Very, very close. Again, 1,100 ballots left to count. We expect to get a second tally sometime tomorrow. Mark?
Casey Decker in the studio tonight. We'll bring you those results when we get them tomorrow. We also want to tell you about a new technology we launched here at KREM 2. It makes it easier for you to give us, or for us rather, to give you the latest information. Tonight, when you're looking for election results, you can just text the word elections to 509-448-2000 and we'll send you a link to the latest numbers. Again, that number, 509-448-2000. It's at the bottom of your screen right now. We also encourage you to save that number in your phone. That way, you can text us anytime you'd like.
And let me say tonight that this victory here is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
The results are in. Senator Bernie Sanders won the New Hampshire primary tonight with 26% of the vote. Following close behind is former Mayor Pete Buttigieg and Senator Amy Klobuchar's in third. CBS News exit polls showed that almost half of the voters decided on a candidate late in the past few days. By a factor of almost 2-to-1, voters are saying they'd prefer a nominee who can beat President Donald Trump to one they agree with on the major issues. The Democratic field will be a little bit smaller as well going forward. Andrew Yang and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet both suspended their long shot campaigns. Next up is the Nevada primaries, which will be held on February 22nd in Las Vegas. All right, to weather now. Another beautiful day across the inland Northwest. Let's get straight to meteorologist Thomas Patrick. And Thomas, unfortunately, we can't hang on to this nice weather forever.
As is the weather for the inland Northwest. It's always a bumpy ride, but it has been very nice to have the sunshine both earlier today And of course, yesterday and honestly tomorrow is shaping up to be a rather nice day as well. So mostly clear skies, just a little bit of cloud cover off to the east. Looks like it spat out just a little bit of some flurries or light precipitation near Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene earlier in the evening, but that seems to have cleared out. If anything, just some flurries over the mountains for tonight. So nothing significant. Good to go for tomorrow morning. Mostly sunny, so grab the sunglasses. Temperatures between about 26 28 degrees. That is on par for the month of February. And even the afternoon temperatures looking nice yet again, right around 40 degrees, give or take in most locations. A little bit warmer off in central Washington with a high of 51 in Moses Lake, which should be the warm spot for tomorrow. Another nice day, as mentioned, but a couple weather systems just starting to line up in the jet stream way off in the North Pacific. So I'll be tracking the timing of these weather systems and still the complicated nature of rain versus snow, especially for this upcoming weekend.
We'll check in with you then, Thomas. Thank you very much. The owner of QQ Sushi in North Spokane told KREM 2 that 2 employees have been fired after now viral videos showed improper food handling. Today, the Spokane Health District also got involved. They inspected the restaurant and we're still waiting on those results. The video shows someone preparing food in a large mixing bowl on the floor and then storing it under a shelf on the floor. The video also showed the food wasn't being refrigerated. And this isn't the first time the restaurant has been hit with violations. Health Department records show they've been docked for inadequate hand washing facilities. Not all their workers had food worker cards and they didn't have proper cooling or storage temperatures for certain foods. The owner tells us that whenever the health district found any problems, he would work to fix them. He says he's been in the food business for 30 years and was shocked to see his restaurant in the middle of all this.
But sometimes Mother Nature, has a mind of her own, and no matter how much we think we can control that and do what we can to make it not happen, there's always the chance. Avalanches are an inherent risk of this sport.
That is Jeff Thompson, the executive director of the Idaho Panhandle Avalanche Center. He responded to last month's deadly avalanche on Silver Mountain, and he wrote the preliminary report on what happened. Jeff is also a member of the Schweitzer Mountain Ski Patrol, and as I recently found out, his team is constantly watching, measuring, and working to prevent tragedies. Long before skiers or snowboarders hit the slopes at Schweitzer Mountain, the resort's snow safety team is out checking conditions and often using explosives to trigger controlled avalanches to stabilize the snow. So here at Schweitzer, how often do you guys do avalanche mitigation using the charges and whatnot?
Well, this season we're up to about 20 days, so we're in quite a bit.
When Jeff Thompson is not patrolling Schweitzer, he's teaching avalanche courses and he's an avalanche rescue dog handler.
Yeah, so they're all trained to ski with us.
Last month, he took 3-year-old Abby and another dog to Silver Mountain. On January 7th, an avalanche on Wardner Peak killed 3 skiers and injured 4 more. Video shot by the Montana-based helicopter crew 2 Bear Air captured the frantic search for buried skiers.
In this day and age of technology, that this is still our best tool to use. It's unbelievable how good they are. If anything, the handlers are usually the ones that limit their ability by not understanding how good they really are.
He says Abby and his other dog were key in finding 2 of the deceased victims.
But they were both very helpful in finding the remaining victims when we got there.
A preliminary investigation found a skier unintentionally triggered the avalanche that ran more than 900 feet downhill, a scenario Thompson and his team at Schweitzer are constantly working to prevent.
It's an interesting natural phenomenon because it's something that's sort of like lightning, where it just happens that fast, and next thing you know, you're dealing with it.
No day is ever the same up here.
Tom Eddy is Schweitzer's snow safety team supervisor. He says the job carries huge responsibilities with thousands of visitors every week.
Over the weekend, we had over 5,000 people.
Wow! Keeping all those people safe requires constant attention to detail.
So we're looking at new snow, we're looking at winds overnight, we're looking at temperatures, looking back at what was happening at sweep at 3:30 the day before, and just making sure that we're keeping up on our terrain. And then I'm going to take a sample here.
Each day, Tom weighs a sample of snow to measure the moisture content. More water in the snow can increase the likelihood of an avalanche.
So that would be 0.9 inches of water.
Altogether, snowfall temperature, winds, and moisture content help Tom and his crew gauge the risks. It's not an exact science, but it's vital to keep skiers safe. Over the last 10 winters, on average, 27 people died in avalanches in the U.S., and the deadliest incident so far this season happened in our own backyard. It's why Tom, Jeff, and their team is up early, often in brutal conditions, to keep the runs we love to ski so much as safe as possible.
Avalanches happen all the time at ski areas. It's usually when we're closed and when ski patrol is in a controlled environment to mitigate the hazard. But sometimes Mother Nature, has a mind of her own, and no matter how much we think we can control that and do what we can to make it not happen, there's always the chance. Avalanches are an inherent risk of the sport.
So if you're skiing inbounds at a resort, the statistics show your chances of getting caught in an avalanche are really low. You're assuming much more risk if you're skiing out of bounds or you're out in the backcountry. And the experts stress if you choose to do that, make sure to ski with a partner and have some key pieces of equipment: an avalanche transceiver, a shovel, and a probe. And they say always check conditions before you go out. A great resource locally is the Idaho Panhandle Avalanche Center. We have a link to their website on our website. You can find that on KREM.com.